Welcome back to Python of Snake. Today we go look at global variables and local variables. As name just talk, say we don't talk and say variables na container. We say we fit put something inside. So if we get local variable, this one are the ones wey dey inside functions, and we fit get global variable wey dey outside function. For the local variable wey dey inside all this function like this different function folder we just put for here, all this kind of variable na inside this function dey fit use am, and the ones wey dey outside the variable na global variable. So make we just do some example, make we take see wetin we dey talk about. For this first example, beans for inside function na local variable or container. Dem dey the local scope. Local scope just mean say na where they do reach be this. They no fit pass this place. So na be say they dey that local scope. For example now, we say make we do this first function beans equals 31337. If we say make we print beans, normally we go see say na 31337 immediately we call food. So make we just first try this one first. We'll see wetin go give us. So e give us 31337. Then e throw error give us. The reason why e throw error give us is because for outside we call food and we will say make e print beans, but e no get any variable wey the name na beans wey dey outside. And na why e talk say beans is not defined here, because na inside this place now we define our beans as 31337. So for this outside, if we want say okay, we want give beans another, we need to give beans the same name, we want come give am another variable. The two variable no go affect each other. If we call food, it go go inside here, it go print the beans wey dey inside food. And if we come, since we dey outside, if we put beans as 100 and we print beans outside, wetin go happen be say e go give us the beans wey dey outside. So we just quickly do the example. So e give us 311337, then e give us 100. So the first thing we call na this food, and this food go inside this first we dey call am this function we dey call food. So e go bring the beans wey dey inside come. Understand? Then for this outside, wey be outside of the scope, outside of this local scope, we don't come the global scope like this now. We define beans as 100. And by the time we print beans for inside this global scope, wetin we get now 100. So now the first example be that. We'll just go to the second example. For this example, we fit change the global scope. We fit change the global variable. Like for here now, we change this global variable to another thing for inside our function. We use function to change the global variable. May I give you an example? For line 7 here, yam na global variable wey be say anybody suppose fit use, wey be say e dey outside of this food function. So but if we call this food function, wetin we go get na say okay, we don change yam inside this our function. We use this function change yam by this simple thing wey we just type for here. This global wey we put, we dey tell this function say global yam now we dey call, then this global yam we dey change yam to fried yam instead of global yam. So maybe if we print am, we fit get clearer vision of wetin we dey talk. So make we just quickly run this, make we see wetin go happen. So e give us fried yam 2 times. We call food and we call say make e print yam. Normally, for example, if we talk say this global no dey there now, for example, wetin go happen be say if we call food, e go go inside here, e go go bring fried yam come, right? Because we go print this yam come outside. Then when we print yam for here, for this line 11, we could just go inside this line 7 yam, will be the global variable, go print yam, come give us. So it will be fried yam and global yam. So now if we add this global yam here, we just tell this function, this food function, say we want first call global yam, then we want carry this yam, we want change yam to another thing inside this function. And all the global so go fit change like this because we use this function to change within the inside this yam with the global scope. So we'll just go to the next example if it make us understand this thing as well. For here we use same name for local and global variable, and we no suppose dey run this kind thing, but na just for example make we see how these things take dey work. So the first thing we wan do be say we wan first go through the code. We define food function. So wetin food function suppose do for us? We say okay, make e call global port, make e change global port. Wetin dey inside global port to yam. Okay, so for example, if you no add this global now, na just normal local variable. But if you add global, e mean say we dey change all the whole global variable wey dey outside of every function. Dey change am to this our yam. So but come line 14 here, we go see say the global variable na 42, right? So make we first do am. Say if we run food, bread, garri, and print pot, number one thing be say e go go inside this first function wey we define. E go do wetin? E go change wetin dey inside this line 14, this global port. So wetin dey wey be 42, you go first change am to yam first. Then go print the pot. So wetin dey inside the pot. So wetin we go see na yam. Second thing say e go call this bread. This bread function, wetin dey do be say e say pot equals beans. E put beans inside your own pot. And this one na just local variable. If you print pot, e no concern am with any other things. Na wetin dey inside im local variable na im go do give us. We no say make e call global, make e do anything. You understand? So if you print pot inside this place, you understand, e go give us wetin e get. Then if we come here, if we no give am anything, maybe inside this line 10, so na another function, but we no give am say pot na so thing. Wetin we just do na to go outside the global variable, go bring pot come. You understand? If we don change pot to we comot for 42 to yam, we go bring yam come give us, because we don use this first function because and change wetin dey inside the global variable. Make we just check wetin the result go be. So the first result na yam. E mean say we print food. Sorry, we call food function on line 16. And when we call food function, e go inside this food. E call global port, wey suppose be 42. E change am to yam. Then e print the port come give us. We get yam. The second thing be this on line 17, and this bread function. Wetin bread functions do for us be say, you no call anything. You just say pot na for your own pot na beans, and na local variable, right? And they say print pot, e just give us beans straight up. You understand? Because nothing concern global variable like this. E get your own variable, and you no dey call any global variable. When we come this garri place, we just say print pot. Normally we no give garri any port, so e go just come outside the global variable. You go come print wetin dey there. But of course, we don already change am to to this thing already, to yam already. So e go print yam give us again. You understand? And now we come talk say make this line 14 print pot as well. You understand? Because we just say print pot, e mean say na outside of the local variable we dey global variable like this. As we say print pot, e just give us yam, because this pot wey dey global, so we don change am for our first function wey we define for here, wey we use global port take change am to yam. So na so this place take be. And if we fit understand all these things one by one, we go fit understand global variables and local variables. For here, if we call these other variables, Python go return beans wey dey inside this bread for us. Wetin we wan do be say if we call this food variable now, this food function rather, e go go inside this food function wey we start from line 1. E go check, okay, wetin e suppose do be say e suppose print beans give us. E suppose also call bread function, and beans inside here na 50. Beans inside this our second function na 100, right? So if you call beans, make we first see wetin go happen before we come explain am. If you call this food function for line 11, make we just call am, make we see wetin go happen. If we call this food function, e give us 100 and 50. E give us 50 as result. Two things, right? And wetin dey do be say e dey go inside this food function. We talk say beans for inside this food function na 50, right? Na the first thing wey we first put down be that say beans so na 50 inside this function. Then the next thing na to call this bread function. Of course, make we just quickly go inside bread function, see wetin dey happen. For inside bread function, garri na 101, beans na 100. Then the function suppose print beans. So e dey go inside this beans function, go print beans come for us. The 100 naira beans come for us because na wetin dey inside this function be that. So if you use the function, if you use the beans finish, you go need to end down for there say beans now for inside this bread na 100 and I don use am finish. So you go destroy am. Wey be say if you dey call print beans for this function again, because you need to finish the function now, this food function we still dey run am. Print beans, wetin go happen now be say e go need to give us im own 50. So when we call bread for inside this first function, you just quickly come inside bread, go come do everything wey you suppose do for inside this bread. Use the variable finish. When you use am finish, you destroy am, then you continue to dey use this variable wey dey this food function. So na wetin dey this particular set of code be this. So the next one wey we go do na we wan just check how we fit take call global variable and of course comot from local scope and all those kind things. So this first line be say we dey talk say you fit call global variable use am inside local scope. Yeah, so make we see how this one go take work this time around. So the first thing na say okay, we call food and we say make e print beans. For inside food function, we give am print beans, right? Because of course, na global variable you go print because we don talk am before say if you no get your own beans inside your own local variable, na to come call the one wey dey outside wey dey this global. If you can see the one, as you take know the one wey dey outside na say na the indent, the one wey dey under this food, of course, na the ones wey dey local variable. The one wey start their own indent on their own, wey stand on their own, wey no dey under anybody, wey no indent, na im be the one wey dey global variable. So for here, wetin we go do na to just first check wetin so we get 100 and we get 100. Wetin you do for us be say when we call food, you go print beans for us, you print this 100 for us, right? Then when we say make you print beans again, e still print the same global for us. So I just dey talk say functions fit use global variable, but you no fit use local variable for global scope. So for inside, like we don talk am before, say for inside local scope, if you just come outside come check wetin be our beans for the global scope, use am, you understand? But e no dey happen the way around. So the next thing na last one we go just quickly do na to say wetin go happen if we name maybe 3 different variables. We name am the same thing for different scope, for different place. For example, for this first place now, we say beans, we say na local beans 1 be this, na im dey inside this beans, na local beans, for example. And we say make you print this particular one. Na beans for here for inside this food function. We come this food 2 function again. This one na another function entirely, because we don name am food 2. One na food 1 and food 2. Beans for here na local beans 2, because na local variable, right? Then when we come outside this function, we come the global scope or the global space, we say beans here na global beans, na be this. So if we call food 2 function, for example, say we call food 2 function, we'll see wetin suppose happen. For inside food 2 function, say we call food 2 function, suppose print beans. We go assume say wetin go print na your own local beans. Then e suppose go call food, which is food function wey dey this up. So wetin go call na for inside this food function na to use the local beans, the local beans 1 wey dey this food function, na im go use, because na there e dey call. So you go call am use local beans 1, print am come outside give us. Then wetin go happen again say you go come print beans. Of course, you don get your own local beans wey you dey use, so you go print beans wey dey local variable. But make we quickly see wetin go happen. And no forget say after this we call this food 2 finish, we come call normal beans. which suppose give us this global beans because now outside we call them from. So we'll just quickly check wetin go happen if we go that route. Move first clear wetin dey here. I don't know how this thing dey sound, maybe e dey confusing, but we'll just try check am one by one. With this answers you go know. So when you call this for two function, man separate am like this, we'll know say na two things we dey call. When we call for two functions, this for two function, of course, e go inside the for two function, go begin the work. For inside for two function, you see say wetin dey inside beans na local beans too. If we say make you print am, you could print local beans to give us for down here for inside our console. If you say okay, make it go inside food, which is this which one now, you know, this one we did is na 8, so make it go inside food, make it go do it for inside food. Make it go bring out print beans for inside food. For inside food, you see say these beans are local beans one, right? So wetin go do again? They say make you print beans again. So if you say make you print beans again, now beans wey you know now you go print. Sorry, now local beans to be this, no be global beans. You go print in local beans to come outside and you go bring that. So this last global beans, so now just the one we did this outside. And we name all of them beans, 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 and confusion. No, Python no get confusion, but we fit get confusion because we know if you don't know the ones who we want use if codes done plenty. So we suppose they try they separate the names well. We know say this one are beans with this also place. This one are beans. But for Python know say this first beans na inside food e dey, na local beans dey inside. We name this second variable will be container name, so we name am beans again, but na local beans too na in dey inside. And for this outside we name am beans as well. And na global beans na in dey inside. So Python know this one and it will give us result, but we fit make mistake. So I beg more ask our questions for the comment section of our Telegram group. Thank you. I'll see you for the next class.